Okay, in this video, I'm going to go over some expectations for padding and stuff like communion reflection, baptisms, all that kind of stuff. So, um, our goal is to just create like a bed, uh, just kind of like atmospheric. Our goal isn't to be showy or distracting. We're just creating a nice pad, uh, a bed of atmosphere, basically. So, there's a few situations in which we pad, and we'll start with communion. So, typically, there's two um, there's two situations with communion. There's the transition and the reflection. So, transition is when somebody's speaking. So when we're playing under somebody speaking, our goal is to not be distracting at all. So less melody, less movement, more sparse. So kind of an expectation is um, to use both keyboards. So on this keyboard, I have blue carpet pulled up. Actually, I don't. Now I do. So blue carpet, it's just a really nice blank kind of pad. And all I'm going to do with this keyboard is whatever key I'm going to pad in, which as you probably know is typically whatever key we're going to go into with the next song. I'm going to hold the 1 and the 5 of that key. So if the next song is in G and I'm going to pad in G, I'm going to hold a G and a D. So G is the root, D is the 5. And basically any chord in the major scale will work with this pad. But it's important to get this pad right. So a lot of times I hear like that's a pad on the blue carpet. We want to find a mid-range sound. So like this is really low, so when I'm playing, it just kind of gets muddy in the room. And up here is like shrill, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. So the goal is to find a nice mid-range kind of not distracting pad. So like I could do that, but that's still a little low, so that's going to muddy it up. That's probably a little high, so right here is right where I want to be. So I'm going to hold this with my sustain pedal. I'm not going to lift up at all. And what that does is it just creates a bed for your piano. It's not going to be super dry. Because in the room, piano is where it's going to be fairly low most of the time. It's you're not going to hear a lot of sustain, so the pad does that for you. So communion transition. So a host is out, and we're padding. We don't want to be too melodic. Just chords with a little movement. This way we're not taking away from whatever the host or the worship leader is saying. And I'm just kind of making stuff up as I go. Just a real kind of easy thing to do is just play like a 1, 4, 6, 5, right? So in a major scale, right, you've got 7 or so chords you can play. So kind of just feeling it out and just doesn't have to be crazy. But you'll notice I'm really just lots of long chords and lots of pretty chords. So like 4s are really easy. So in the key of G, our 4 chord would be a C. If I just play that as a major 7, it's real vibey and nice, right? So that's an easy one. So if we're in the key of like D, the 4 chord would be the G. So I'm just playing that as a major 7 instead of that. It's not as blocky. It kind of fits a little more in there. Right, so back to G. So those are kind of a couple ideas you can keep in mind. 6, 4, and you just want to feel the changes. Like I don't have a tempo in my brain. I'm not counting. Just kind of rolling with it. But if there was a tempo, it'd be really slow, right? So the host has now left. And now it's communion reflection time. This is where we can be a little more pretty, maybe a little more melodic, but we're still not, going to do a whole bunch of crazy stuff because people are taking communion, they're praying, they're spending time with Jesus, so we don't want to take away from any of that. So I'm going to play a little bit of melody. And that pad, that synth, it's still going. It never stops. And I'm just kind of making up some progressions as I go, and then I'll probably come up with something else, and then go back to the progression that I was playing earlier. And to switch it up, not be too monotonous, I'll just change registers. So like I'll play down here for a while, and then maybe I'll come up here. Every once in a while, maybe just a nice little pretty thing like that. And then we'll get band when you're ready in your ears, and then we're done. So that's communion. So kind of the same thing. Say we're playing a song, say we're playing Move, right? And it ends on a down chorus. Tracks die, and it's kind of just us. That's another thing. You could come up here and grab that pad, just so. It just creates a bed. It's not so dry, right? Like if without the pad, it's just a little dry. This just creates a nice little bed for us, so it's more atmospheric, vibey, feels right. Everything doesn't just die at the end. So yeah, I use this a good bit, just kind of just holding the root note. So Move is in C, so root note and the 5th, and just you can play pretty much any chord in the major scale over that. Well, except for that one. That's not in the major scale, but so that will always pretty much work. Cool. So and then like baptisms, same kind of thing. So say we just ended, I don't know, King of Kings, and then maybe I'll hold my piano and then come up here, hit that D and A in the key of D. So 1, 5, and then we're gonna celebrate some baptisms. One thing you can do is bring the progression back from the song. So like we just ended with a chorus, so I could play those chorus chords. Or I could just do something different. But if you don't feel great about just making up stuff on the spot, you can always just go back to a previous progression that we played. So, but here I got that pad holding, so it's going to be nice and smooth, not dry. And and then go to a worship leader dismissal likely, or so yeah. Use this a ton for beds underneath the piano. And yeah, same thing like with baptisms. We don't want to be too busy, right? Because that's people talking. Want to make sure the congregation can hear what's going on in the baptistry. So if we're up over, right, that's like super distracting, and we don't want to do that. So our job is just create a nice bed or pad. Hence the word padding. So that's really about it. Pretty easy stuff. So try incorporating this whole thing. I'm just holding it with a sustain pedal. So getting that coordination might be tricky, but I would challenge you to work on it and give it a shot, and try incorporating some of this into your playing. And also sometimes if you just want to just play this pad instead of the piano. So like, so we ended with move, and we're going into baptisms. We could just play the pad. We don't even have to play the piano. Pads are good for just long chords, not melodic at all. So yeah, those are kind of some recommendations and sort of some expectations for padding as a keys player here at Southland. So yeah, there you go. That's it.